Baruch Hashem, today is day number 61 of our daily study of Rambam, Sefer HaMitzvos. In the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we are in Hilchas Kiddush HaChodesh. We only just began those halachas yesterday. Hilchas Kiddush HaChodesh literally means the laws of the sanctification of the new moon, but it includes so much more than that. It's really about the entire Jewish calendar. So we're going to be studying this mitzvah. There's one biblical mitzvah that corresponds to these laws. So we're going to be studying that repeatedly over the next several days, God willing. So it's going to give us an opportunity to really go into depth on this one mitzvah. All right, let's say it again. We said it yesterday. We'll say it again today. Positive commandment number 153, the commandment to keep the calendar, to calculate the months and the years. And as mentioned yesterday, that's based on a verse, HaChodesh hazeh lochem reish chadashim, Rishain hu lochem l'chodshei hashana. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, while still in Egypt, actually right before the redemption, right before the Exodus, this month, meaning the month that it was when that occurred, the month of Nisan, shall be to you the head of months. To you it shall be the first of the months of the year. Now, what is this expression, lochem, to you, plural, to y'all? I know in English we say you, and you could be singular or plural. But lochem in the Holy Tongue means specifically plural. Who's this plural? Okay, so the Rambam says that the mitzvah to keep track of and to establish the months and the Jewish calendar is commanded to the Beis Din Hagadol B'Yerushalayim, the high court in the holy city of Jerusalem. In other words, as opposed to something where every individual keeps track and proclaims the sanctity of the day, what would be the example of this? Yeah, right. Shabbos. Shabbos, every individual makes Kiddush when Shabbos comes in and says, this is Shabbos, right? The calendar is up to the group of judges who convene in the high court. And that is how it was done during biblical times, during the first and second temple era. And that's why the calendar was very much in flux. There was no preset calendar. Things were done as they occurred. In other words, when would the new moon be? Well, witnesses would spot the occurrence of the tiniest little sliver of the new moon, and they would come to the high court and testify what they had seen. And then the court would proclaim, today is Rosh Chodesh, today is the new month, the first day of the new month, and that the old month is over. By the way, remember when we were learning Hilchas Shvisas Yom Tov, the laws of Yom Tov, and I mentioned that all of those Yomim Tovim, all those Jewish holidays, are 2 days rabbinically. I didn't really explain why that is. Okay, well, now it might click for you. If the calendar was in flux and we didn't know what date would be, well, I should clarify. It's not that we have zero clue what date Rosh Chodesh will be. It's really one of 2 days, because a true lunar month is 29 and a fraction days. So it could be a 29-day month or a 30-day month. But we don't know what it's going to be until the witnesses come to the... in other words, we don't know when witnesses will actually spot the occurrence of the tiny sliver of the new moon and come to the court to testify, and then the court will proclaim a new month. So in ancient times, communication being what it was in that era, it was plausible that the date of a holiday such as Sukkot or Pesach would come around, and you wouldn't know yet what date it was. The news hadn't reached you yet. You live too far from Yerushalayim, from the holy city of Jerusalem, so you don't know which day was the new moon. You know it was one of 2 days, so that's why you kept 2 days of Yom Tov, and that's the origin of that. That's where that comes from, although we continue to keep it now, even though we know very well what date it is. And I'll just briefly mention regarding that. Why do we know what date it always is? Because there's a fixed calendar. That goes back to the 4th century Common Era, a sage by the name of Hillel, not to be confused with his ancestor, Hillel HaZaken, who was a sage during the Second Temple period. But Hillel, often called Hillel Nasiya, Hillel the Nasi, he established a set calendar that we use until this day. And so we no longer rely on witnesses coming to the high court and the high court proclaiming on a case-by-case basis when each new month will be. Now it's all set in advance, and you can look up the dates of Jewish holidays for many years to come. That's how it works now, and that's the calendar that's been in operation now for close to 2 millennia. Okay, so there's much more to be said about this fascinating mitzvah. We will continue with more Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh, God willing, tomorrow.